Hey guys, this is ZeroSound13mm welcoming you to a new deck profile, which is Darklords. Now I've seen a few of these, but like surprisingly there isn't a lot. So I'm like, well, I might as well join in on doing this again because I only did like one other video for deck profiles, and I want to get into them more. It's just I don't know. But anyway, well, I guess getting to a backstory about this, that Dark Lords, as well as Time Lords. I mean, I have so many archetypes that I like, but like this one, Time Lords, and like Gishki, and maybe a few others, I really like based on design. But after the deck profile, like in the comments section below this video, whenever I post it, um, you can give me suggestions. I've seen people like comment on like their deck profiles for Dark Lords. Like I said, there's not that many out there right now, so I'm like, I might as well join in on this train before like, like 30 pop up out of nowhere. And I mean like IRL deck profiles. There's not a lot of those. There's a lot of like uh some of the automated systems like Edo Pro, Hydra Pro, and all that. I'm not exactly counting those videos because it's just replays the whole time. I prefer the actual deck profile. So let's get into it. Alright. To start things off, I'll start with some of the one-ups here. Arto Christia, Athena, Capricious Darklord, which is one of the new ones, and Darklord Asmodeus. Now, I know some people will probably be saying, why Asmodeus? But, personally, I like this card. Well, I like all of them, but I'll go over some examples here. Just trying to find There we go. Go over Arto Christia. It is a floodgate, essentially. If there are exactly 4 fairies in the grave, you can special summon it, and then if you do, you can add a fairy from your graveyard to your hand. As long as it's on the field, neither player can special summon. The one gripe I have to say about it is its last effect, which is when if it's sent to the graveyard, you return to the top of your deck. So that's kind of annoying, but it's not that hard to re-put back in the graveyard or get out again. Now we have Athena. This one, since everything is fairy, another one you want to like get into the grave as soon as possible. Now these are just my personal picks, but Athena, when another fairy is summoned, inflicts 600 damage. It doesn't matter if it's you or your opponent; they're still going to take 600. And then you contribute a fairy, special summon a fairy, and then Capricious, one of the new Dark Lords. This one is a quick effect where you contribute summon a fairy monster face up, and if it's sent to the graveyard, which you probably will be using it as tribute fodder for this effect, all monsters you build controls lose 500 attack and defense for each fairy monster on the field until the end of the turn. And Asmodeus, self-explanatory, once per turn Foolish Burial. And then if it dies by battle or by an effect, you can summon an Asmodeus token. The Asmo token cannot be destroyed by card effects, and the Deuce token cannot be destroyed in battle. Asmo token is level 5 with 1800 attack, 1300 defense, and Deuce token is level 3, 1200 attack and defense. Next up we have. I'll throw Amdusk into that as well. This one's been out for about a few years, but this one is discard a Darklord card in itself, target a Darklord monster in the grave, add it to hand, and all of the new Darklords, including the ones that just came out, minus the fusion, like new Darklord monsters, like Nurgle and stuff. They have the ability pay 1,000, target a Darklord spell and trap, copy its effect, and shuffle that spell and trap into the deck. So the deck is went from like Darklords evolved from going from just filling up your graveyard as soon as possible to revive stuff later, to doing that plus filling up your grave with like pretty much everything just so you can copy effects. And then we got 3 Excel. Aside from like Allure and Trade-In, this is your draw card. You discard Self and a Darklord to draw 2, and then like with Amdusk you pay 1,000 to copy a spell and trap. And then 3 Morningstar. Now, I've seen like different different builds have different ratios, and I've seen some with like 1, and then another with like 2, and then like one of the more recent ones I've seen has 3. I personally prefer 3 because of the fusion. But this one can't be special summoned, and when it's tribute summoned, you can special summon Darklord monsters from your hand and or deck. Up to the number of effect monsters the opponent controls. So that means even if you because another one of the new ones, which I'll go over to when I get to it, lets you bring it's indulged. I'll just say it right now. Indulged Darklord lets you take two Darklord monsters at different levels, excluding itself. One goes to the opponent's side to field and defense, the other one goes to your hand. Now, surprisingly, I don't know if this is an actual true ruling on Indulge, but I could be wrong, but on automated systems, you're able to add this card to your hand and special summon something like Ukubak or any other Darklord, because this can't be special summoned, so it would have to go to your hand. And since the special summon and add happen simultaneously, I believe you can do that. Oh, another thing is, as long as you control another Darklord, Morningstar cannot be targeted by effects, and then once per turn, you can mill the top 5 top cards equal to the number of Darklord. Is it Darklords? Yes, equal to the number of Darklords you control. So, yeah. So if you have like 6, because there is a Link monster, and you have a field full of Darklords, that's essentially 6 cards every turn. So there is one downside to this deck, and that's you decking yourself out, which could happen if you're not careful. Let's see. And then we got another one of Naztin. You discard 2 other Darklords, special summon itself from the hand, and then again pay 1,000 to copy spell and trap. And then we got 2 Nurgles. This one gives all your fairies piercing. So, as if this thing didn't have, as if this deck didn't have more than one way to OTK, now you have another way. Fantastic. This one, again, allows all fairies to inflict piercing on your field. And like I said, copy effective spell and trap. I wish it could copy monsters too, but it can't. I would say the bread and butter of this deck are Superbia, Morningstar, and a Shell. That's what I believe. People may have other opinions, but that's just me. Superbia, self-explanatory. It's not a hard once per turn either, which is pretty great. That's the nice thing about the old Darklords, because they're not hard once per turns like the new ones are. So, unfortunately, you can't special summon another copy of itself, because if you could get all 3 out of your grave and then any other fairy monster, which would be pretty stupid, in my opinion. Plus, if you add an Athena into that mix, you can distribute 1, special summon it back, and then easy peasy, you have 5 monsters. Another one of Tez. This one protects your Darklord monsters from battle or card destruction by discarding itself in your hand, and again, pay 1,000 to copy. And then, when I was doing I wouldn't say playtesting, but I used to run 1, but then I decided, well, I think 2 is better, because then you could have like 1 to go to the opponent's field, and the other one to use for later, and plus you can summon it back later anyways. So I like 2. It's basically like a smaller Asmodeus. If because this build isn't like completely finalized, but it's getting there. Let's see. What else? I think we're at the end of the monster lineup. One Zerato to just bury a Regeki. Discard a dark monster, destroy the opponent's field. You can normal summon without triggering if you have exactly 4 darks. Is it exactly 4? Yes. Oh, never mind. It's if there are 4 more in your graveyard with different names, and then it dies after you use the effect. But what you'll probably do is you'll discard a dark, nuke the opponent's monster board, Xyz summon with like Superbia on this card, and go into a rank 8 and like OTK. So Zerato is basically the old school way of OTKing your opponent, because it's basically a Regeki. And here's the new one, Indulged. When it's normal special summon, like I said, I kind of already explained this, so I don't really need to go over it. Although I will say that Capricious and Indulged are level 4s, so you can make rank 4 plays if you want to do that. And then, last monster, Cephalon. Now, if you guys seen my Time Lord deck profile, you would have known that this card was in there. And you're probably wondering, why is it in Darklords? Because, like, I know when I had it in Time Lords, it was also questionable because, like, no one is ever going to use it. Because, like, there are some people that don't use Infinite Light, and there's others that do. Me and my friend, and I think my other friend are, like, 3 of those people. And I'm just like, well, you can special summon it with Infinite Light, so yeah, and then you can use its effect. The reason it's in here instead, I'm probably going to have to throw in some other card into my Time Lords to make up for the fact that Cephalon isn't there. Or I can just wait until the Cephalon I ordered comes. But essentially, you have 10 or more monsters in your grave, which you most likely will in this deck. Special summon it from hand, and then once per turn you can special summon a level 8 or higher fairy monster from hand or grave. Its effects are negated, but its attack becomes 4,000. So again, yet another card that pretty much basically helps you OTK. It's kind of funny, because I think what you would do back in like the old days, you would get 10 or more in your grave, then you would special summon this, and then you would use Zerato's effect if Zerato's on the field, discard Dark, nuke the opponent's board. That's already 6,800 damage there. Use this thing's effect, special summon a level 8 or higher fairy. Its effect negates, its attack becomes 4,000. So you basically have 10,800 damage right there and then. That's how they did it in the old days. Now it's just like OTKing like a different way. 3 allure, I think that's self-explanatory because everything in here is dark except for like Christia, Athena, and Cephalon. But that's fine. Even if you lose your entire hand, like it's not really that big of a deal. If this is in your hand, I guess it's kind of a problem, but you don't exactly need it. I kind of just threw it in here because it's easy to summon. Allure, draw 2, banish a dark. Like I said, like there's a lot of darks in here. There's probably like what? I think actually no, there's 22 because there's 25 monsters. Next up, Rebanishment. The Rhoda of the deck, as some people call it. You add a Darklord card from deck to hand. While it is a hard once per turn, doesn't matter because the new Darklords let you copy spell and traps. Unfortunately, that means you can only use it twice in one turn. But that's fine. And then we have Card Destruction. That's another questionable card. I think I saw like one video, I think it was like a few years ago, where someone was using Card Destruction in a Darklord deck, which you can do. It helps you replenish your hand and get stuff you want in your graveyard. I originally had a Veil of Darkness in here, but I decided to take it out and not bother. Because what if you draw into a dark monster you want, like say a shell? What if you want, like that's something you want in your hand? And if you have Veil of Darkness active, its effect is forced, so you have no choice but to send it to the grave, which kind of sucks. And the monster, in Archetypal Monster Reborn, special summon Darklord monster from Grand Defense. Like with Banishment, hard once per turn, but the new Darklords let you copy, so again, 2 Monster Reborns in 1 turn. Then we got a 2 1-ofs, Foolish Burial of Goods and Reasoning. I saw in a YouTuber's deck profile for Darklords, like someone suggesting reasoning, and I remember I had reasoning in my Leonard Fornoids, which I don't know if I'll deck profile because it's so huge. Um, but yeah, I was originally thinking Monster Gate because Monster Gate is not limited anymore, unlike reasoning. But reasoning doesn't have the restriction you have to tribute a monster in order to use it. This one just says the opponent has to declare a level between 1 through 12, and you keep excavating until you hit that level. I think it's... Oh yeah, you keep excavating until you hit a monster recommend normal summon slash set. Normal summon slash set, excuse me. Sorry if I'm talking too fast. I know I'm explaining these out of order, but yeah. I want to get over this one first. So, most of the monsters in this deck, excluding Cephalon, Asmodeus, Morningstar, I think that's it. Like, everything else in here could be normal summon slash set. Cephalon, Asmodeus, and Morningstar. So, like, that's what? Cephalon, 3 Morningstar, so that's 4. Asmodeus makes what? So, 20 monsters in a deck can be normal summon slash set. So, that's not bad at all. Monster Gate could also be a viable option, but you don't want to tribute stuff. I mean, unless you're going first, in which case, like, Darklords, I think, are probably a going first deck, so using Monster Gate in exchange for Reasoning isn't really that big of a deal. Plus, with Monster Gate, you just keep excavating until you hit a monster that can be normal summon slash set, regardless. This one requires the opponent to declare a level. And if they call it right, everything goes to the grave. When if they call it wrong, you get to special summon that a monster that can be normal summons as set. So you could hit that after the first card, or it could take you like pretty much your entire deck. Who knows? It all depends on luck. And then Foolish Burial Good, send a spell trap from deck to grave. It is a hard once per turn. I don't know why, because Foolish Burial is not. Probably because I think it's probably because like some deck could abuse it. 2 trade in. Again, self-explanatory. You discard level 8, draw 2. I would use 3, but I think 2 is fine. Because you got a shell to draw as well. And then we got our 1-ofs here. And then we got our Darkwood traps. I'll just go over them one by one, left to right. So, I'll move. So first up is Descent. You normally would have to pay half your LP in order to use it, but this is probably the one Darklord trap that you want in your graveyard as soon as possible. It is an iffy card, but it's still worth using because it is an archetypal card. Enchantment is basically the mind control of the deck. Rebellion, I'm not really sure what that is. It's not MST or whatever. I guess it kind of is. And Uprising is probably the most important card of the deck. It lets you... Oh yeah, I should also say that all of these, excluding Descent, involve you sending a Darklord monster from hand or field to the grave to activate them. Descent is normally pay half your LP. But, like I said, if you get all 6 of these... Well, I used to have 7 because Neobug Nest, but I'm like, nah. I want this to be pure as possible. Now, if I wanted to go that route, I would have to side Cephalon, Athena, and Artochristia in order to get the maximum pureness. But they fit the deck, so it's fine. Enchantment, Mind Control, Rebellion, Destroy, Uprising is your fusion card of the deck. You send a Darklord monster from hand or field to the grave, fusion summon a Dark Fusion monster from your extra deck by using monsters from your hand or field, and then after it resolves, you gain LP equal to the attack of the monster you sent to the graveyard to use it. So you have a lot of LP gaining in here. This one, pretty similar to this, at least in terms of life point gain, but instead, you send one from hand or field to grave to target a monster, an effect monster in the field, negate its effects until the end of the turn, but you gain LP equal to its attack. So that is the not the extra deck, the main deck. Now, for the good stuff, 1 Starving Venom Fusion Dragon. Um, uh, would I say it's self-explanatory? I mean, I guess, because it requires 2 dark monsters on the field. That's no problem, because, like, everything in this deck is dark except for, like, 3 monsters. At least main deck-wise. It lets you gain the attack. Is it 1 monster? Yeah, 1 special monster spell controls until the end of its turn, and then once per turn you can target level 5 or higher. Copy its abilities until the end of the turn, and if it's destroyed, you destroy all special summon monsters. So I'd say pretty good. Now this is the last of the new stuff that came out in Rise of the Duelist. The first Darklord is an evolution of Morningstar, hence why it has its first effect be if Morningstar is used as material, you destroy all cards your opponent controls. I'd say that's self-explanatory. And then the other effect is pay 1,000, special summon a fairy monster from hand or grave in defense position. So it's any fairy. I thought it had to be a Darklord, but it's not. It's any fairy, which is great. And unlike Morningstar, this one protects all your fairies from targeting effects, including itself, mind you. So that's even better. And then we got a couple, and then everything else is exceeds. Number 66 requires 2 level 4 darks. That's easy to do off because to indulge or indulge in a capricious. You get to detach, target a card in the field, it can't be destroyed by card effects. And then if this card be destroyed, oh, well, it's on the field, sorry, because I thought its ability lingered even when it wasn't on the field. That is wrong. But, I figured why not? You could give, like... Oh, and I forgot to say that Morningstar and the first Darklord protect themselves, or first Darklord protects all fairies you control from targeting effects from your opponent, and Morningstar is protected by targeting effects from your opponent. So you can use this to target this thing, and now it can't be just targeted or destroyed by effects by the opponent, so that's even better. And Turbo Dragon, might as well throw more into disruption. Alternatively, I think you could probably drop this for some other Xyz, maybe a second Tornado Dragon, or an Abyss Dweller to be weird. So yeah, and then we got Coach King, 3 level 8, skips your battle phase, and you basically get to draw 3 times. And if you draw a monster, the opponent takes 800 damage. Simple. Divine Knight Dragon Felgrand, you detach. It's a quick, I think it's during either player's turn. This is a ghost rare, which is great. But once per turn, either player's turn, you can detach a material from this card, then target one face-up monster on the field. Its effects are gained for the turn, but it's not affected by other card effects. So you can, if the opponent has an annoying card on their field, I mean, you won't be able, well, annoying monster, I should say. Like that you probably won't be able to get over easily. You can just target it with that, and then it's unaffected by other effects, with effects negated. And we got the rest of the Xyz lineup here. Heradic, Sun Dragon, Overlord of Helios, Detach, tribute any number of monsters from your hand or field, destroy that many number of cards. You can even tribute itself just to add insult to injury. And then number 38, when the opponent, once per turn, I think it's a quick effect. Oh no, it's during Appler's turn when a spell or effect. And I thought, okay, so it's spell card or a spell card effect. Because the way it's worded made me think that it could be any effect, but I think it has to be a spell card being activated or a spell card's effect. You negate the activation, and then you attach it to this card, and then when opponent's monster declares an attack, you can detach 1 material from this card, change the attack target to this card, and perform damage calculation. If a face-up Xyz monster you control is destroyed with battle by effect, you can target 1 face-up Xyz monster you control. It gains attack equal to 1 of those destroyed monsters' original attack. Okay, so is it? Okay, yeah, so I don't see that effect used. I think people only use it for the spell negation. Number 68, detach during damage calc, make it gain 200 attack for every rank on the field until the end of the turn. I know in this deck it won't get full power because it's halved, but even with half, like you're using a lot of rank 8s in this deck, it's gonna get at least to like 8,000 attack, and then half of that is 4,000 if you're attacking directly. 68 gains 100 attack and defense for each monster in the graveyards, including your opponents, and then you can detach and then until the end of your opponent's next turn, this card cannot be destroyed by card effects. Also, neither player can special monsters from the graveyard. That is kind of a downside, so I may drop it or side it or throw it somewhere else, considering that you want to special summon from the graveyard. But you'll probably be using, I'm not really sure on the rulings, but I think you can Xyz summon this after you special summon multiple times. And then for the last of the extra deck, Condemned Darklord, the Link monster of the deck. Now, what I wish they would do, my only gripe with this archetype, despite it being one of my favorites to ever come into existence, is that there's only 2 archetypal spells. Why they couldn't just make Uprising like Fusion of Fire, I don't know. They could have done that, but no, they turned it into a trap card. I guess based on the name, it feels like a trap and not a quick play spell or a regular spell to begin with, so in that case I can understand. But like some of the other traps could have been spells, like Descent could have been a quick play or something. I don't know, I guess paying half your LP would have been a hefty price for a quick play. But, Condemned. The most important effect I find with this card, you don't even have to use it in Darklords to make it efficient. You can just use it in any fairy deck. Because it says 2 fairies, it doesn't require specifically Darklords. Now you do need Darklords in order to use its discard to add a Darklord monster to your hand or send it to the grave depending on the situation. The effect I find that's more important than that, I don't even use the Banish to Tribute summon. Well, I can do that. I just don't see a purpose. Maybe if I have a full field that I don't want to get rid of, yeah, maybe. Or maybe not full field, but like I have 1 zone left, and I have monsters that I still want in my field, I could do that. But then you're losing like valuable resources. Is it Banish Darklords or Banish... Oh, never mind, it's monsters, so you can do Banish like your Xyz if they die. Never mind, I thought it had to be dark, so... Okay. Never mind, that effect is useful. I just haven't seen myself use it, even though it is there. I think the last 2 effects are more important than that, though. You discard a card to add a Darkle monster from hand, or send it to the grave, and then the final effect is, during the end phase, it doesn't matter if it's yours or your opponent's. It doesn't say during each, but it says during the end phase, which makes me think during each end phase. You gain 500 LP for each fairy on the field. So if you have like 2 of this, that's basically 1,000 per end phase. Like, plus any other fairies on the field, that's like 1,000 life points for each fairy on the field, which is insane. Your life points could easily get to over 20,000. But yeah, that is the deck profile. I don't really know what other deck profiles I'll do, but I'll figure something out. Now, like I said at the beginning of the video, if you have suggestions on how I could improve the deck, do so in the comments. And try to be, like, you know, nice about it. I don't want, like, you know, destructive criticism. It is a deck profile and it is open for change. Then again, like, what am I going to do with this? Like, duel online with it? I mean, that is an option because we can't exactly do, you know, face-to-face duels right now. Because, you know, COVID and whatnot. But, yeah. I think that will do it for the video.